Hey guys, welcome back. Sorry I wasn't around last week, but hopefully you enjoyed this week's video. So this week I am going to be actually painting my Nintendo Switch case, which I got for Christmas. The Switch, not the case. I bought the case. Okay, anyway. I think I'm going to be using acrylic paint for this. And as you can see, I am going to be struggling very deeply with sketching on what I want on this case. Because this is made out of EVA foam, I think, and it's almost impossible to draw on this stuff with a mechanical pencil. Hence me switching it up to a light blue colored pencil, because I am brilliant, but actually this doesn't work at all. Don't really know what I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. But my idea here is I want to have a phoenix, and I know phoenixes are red, but I'm thinking of making it blue, but then it's gonna look like Articuno, but that's okay. Anyway, I'm hoping to put this phoenix on a kind of sunset background, probably oranges and reds and warm colors back there with the blue phoenix in the front, and then probably some mountains in the foreground. I don't know how much I can do with this because it is a small and strangely shaped case, but I'm gonna try. So looking at the footage now, I can really see that it's actually pretty visible. But when I was working on it, it was next to impossible to see what was going on this case. So I decided to do something that's a little bit dangerous, do not recommend, don't try this at home, but I used my pyrography set on a very, very, very low temperature so that I could see this a little better. The reason I say don't do this is because it's not smart to burn EVA foam. It's pretty toxic. I did have the doors open and a fan running, and of course, like I said, this is on really low heat, but I could still smell some pretty toxic fumes. But this makes it so much easier for me to see. Oh my gosh. And I think that the acrylic will go on in such a way that it'll be thick enough that it'll cover up all of the little potholes and stuff that are caused by the razor tip, but also not so thick that I won't be able to actually see the original sketch of the phoenix underneath it. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Just kidding. I don't really paint. I enjoy watercolor, and I enjoy watercolor pencils, but I don't really use acrylic. I haven't used acrylic since college, which was 4 years ago. Man, I'm old. I have a plate, because I am a professional, and I'm going to put a few different colors on here. Like I said, I did want to do a sunset warm color background, so I'm going to start with those warm colors because I'm going to need to let that dry before I even start on my phoenix. And you know what? I personally think that this background came out pretty well in the end, but I'm sure that you actual painters out there probably have facepalmed by now. So, oh painterly gods, I do sincerely apologize for my transgression against your art form. But actually, seriously, if you have any advice for me on this application or anything like that of acrylic paint, be my guest. I probably will not be doing another acrylic paint thing unless it's getting some really good feedback. Mostly I was just doing it for this because I was like, okay, let's see, too toxic to burn EVA foam. Watercolor won't work on it, or it won't stay on it. Colored pencil won't work on it. Markers won't work on it. So I only had one option. While I finish this up, I wanted to kind of tell you why I chose to do a phoenix on this. Number one, of course, phoenixes are incredibly cool and one of the mainstream symbols of resurrection, immortality, and in this case, most importantly, rebirth. So real talk, I decided to put a phoenix on this because I've been thinking about phoenixes a lot recently. I'm about to start making some really big changes in my life, which I will definitely let you guys in on as soon as I can put it all into words. But I think it'll be good. I'm gonna need to figure out how to keep running this channel with all of the changes I intend to be making, but I'm sure I'll figure out some way. Because honestly, this has been so much fun. Just ever since I started this YouTube channel, I've had a reason to keep a schedule and follow through on things, make sure that my art skills continue to increase or at least not degrade themselves. So this channel has been a lot of really great things for me since I started it. And for those of you who have run across this and who are watching, even if it's inconsistently, thank you. And I am honored that you choose to spend even just a few minutes with me a week. Okay, I'm done with my sappiness for now, and I have a question. For those of you who actually use acrylics on a regular basis, do you run into this problem a lot? Does it dry all the time and then you have to go back over it and stuff? Because that sucks. That really sucks. Like when I want it to dry quickly, it won't dry. But when I'm just trying to get a nice, smooth, pretty, texturized gradient, all it does is dry. So there came a point where I was just like, I like the gradient, but I think that even on the darker side of the spectrum, it still needs a little bit more red. So I just slapped some on there and I'm done. No, I'm just kidding. Gotta keep going. Don't worry, guys. In real time, I've been at this for like 45 minutes because I just cannot for the life of me be satisfied with my gradient. Finally, instead of continuing to muddy it up some more, I decided it was good and then I walked away.
24 hours later.
And I'm back. I'm so nervous about not being able to see my sketch underneath my paint job here that I am indeed going over it all over again with my mechanical pencil. I was thinking of having other phoenixes and birds and mythical creatures in the sky behind it, but I don't know. I feel like a creature like a phoenix is probably just kind of a loner. And even if it weren't, it wouldn't be chilling with all those other mythical creatures. It's too cool for school. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm moving on to some nice light sky blue for my base coat over my phoenix. So this is one of the things that's always thrown me off about painting, and one of the reasons I hate it so much is because I'm so used to my lines, and I love my lines, and I rely on my lines, and if you've looked at any of my other videos, everything starts with outlines. I know that in a lot of ways, lines are kind of a handicap. Oh God, I can't believe I just did that. Yeah. Okay, fixed it. Moving on. But let's face it, there's plenty of beautiful styles that implement lines regularly, and even as a main component of the finished product. So, yeah, that's goals. You know what else is goals? Not getting streaky paint everywhere. I cannot for the life of me get it to be smooth until way later in the process. I don't know if that's just a part of acrylics. Maybe it is. Maybe you just have to layer things over and over and over until they're smooth. But I'm only just now discovering that, and it is killing my patience, man. Anyway, while I finish up these flats, I'm going to pipe down, and then I will return when I get to another bewildering painterly event. I actually don't even know what's going to come next, but I'm sure I'll have a comment or two. Okay, the level of regret I feel for not finding a thinner, smaller brush is immeasurable. I just could not figure out how to make these talons taper how they should because my brush was too big. I thought it was really small, but then I started the project and I'm like, but whatever, you know. Just means more creative problem solving for me, right? That's literally every project I do. Every single project is creative problem solving. But it's not like a problem that needs to be solved creatively. Like if I would just do the research before I start a project, then I wouldn't have any of these problems. But that is no fun, okay? When you have to start researching everything and you don't get to just jump into it, then number one, there's not nearly as much opportunity for narration. And number two, I don't get to practice my spontaneous problem-solving skills. And I gotta keep those sharp. So for my artist friends and viewers, do you guys notice that when you start a new medium, if you try something for the very first time, you've never touched it before, never laid hand on it, never learned anything about it, has it also been your experience that your knowledge of other mediums that you favor carry over? Because even though I know nothing about acrylic painting whatsoever, I don't know anything from consistency to proper form or strokes or anything like that, but my texturing and lighting, those seem to carry over pretty well. Granted, it's rough and it needs refining, but there's an illusion of multiple feathers there, right? You know what? If I'm wrong, don't tell me. Anyway, my next order of business is to work on the crest feathers for this bird, which I think that's what they're called, right? You know what? I'm gonna trust my instincts and say that those are crest feathers, because that seems like a really great name for them. I can imagine my friends. A couple of them are bird fanatics. They love birds, and they're probably just face palming so hard right now. I've always been a big fan of especially mythical creatures with crazy long tails and feathers and stuff like that. Whether it's hippogriffs or griffins or phoenixes, even some of the more avian dragons. It just looks so cool. Well, I'm nearly done now. I am just going to be putting some extra dimension there by adding some warm highlights in yellows, reds, and oranges onto the phoenix itself, kind of make it look like the feathers are kind of glossy and reflective. And then I'm going to do a little bit of extra background work, and then I'll be done. Okay, so I haven't done a full-on watercolor painting on this channel yet, but one of my favorite things to do with a watercolor painting is this splashing strategy. But I found out too late that it doesn't work so well with acrylic. It works wonderfully with watercolor, but not so much with acrylics, so I regret this. Luckily, I also thought quickly and figured out how to get most of that junk off of the phoenix itself. Now, unfortunately, at this point, my camera, though it didn't die, it ran out of storage space. So I had clicked the record button and it looked like it was working, but it wasn't. So I recorded all of these dots that I did, kind of these embers, this sort of abstract ember look. But oh, wait, no, I didn't actually record that. You just have to assume that it's magic, okay? Let's just do that. Whew. Alright, well, that was an adventure. Thank you for joining me on my quest to find the blue phoenix / Articuno without correct coloring or design or anything. It's just a blue phoenix. Please feel free to subscribe, hit that notification bell if you want to be updated every Tuesday, or just come back every Tuesday, whatever. Also, please follow me on Instagram or Etsy. You can also like my page on Facebook. And so good to be back, you guys. Again, I hope everyone had a very happy new year. If you guys have any interesting goals or resolutions, I would love to hear them. Just post them in the comments. A last minute addition to my sign out here. Apparently, a lot of people want one of these cases. So if you would like a customized acrylic painted switch case of some kind, let me know. But as usual, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.